Hey, what's going on, troops? My name's Ryan. I'm a former commando from the United Kingdom, and today we're going to be reacting to 5 reasons you should not mess with the US jet fighters. Now, you only need one reason. I did a video like this a while back. Only need one reason not to mess with America, guys, and I'll let you guys decide what that reason is in the comments. Let's go. Get straight into it, but before we do, smash that like button, subscribe if you're brand new here, and drop a comment below, troops. Look forward to getting into this one. The last time I did a 5 reasons you shouldn't mess with the US, it became the biggest video on my channel. It's got like 4.5 million views. So I'm hopeful that this one is going to blow every other video out of the water. Because when we're talking about the US and the military and why they're good at stuff, it seems to be pretty good, guys. I'm looking forward to this. Let's do it.
The United States Air Force is probably the most powerful air force on the planet today. Since its creation in 1947 after World War II, the US Air Force has constantly been at the forefront of aircraft technological revolution. From breaking the speed barrier in the experimental Bell X-1 to creating the first operational variable swept-wing fighter aircraft, the General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark, the US Air Force has racked up a lot of firsts in the world of military aviation.
Yeah, I would say that, it goes without question, they're at the forefront of innovation when it comes to technological advancements within the aviation, within that kind of sphere, okay, of expertise. So much so that I genuinely believe, and I haven't got inside knowledge to this, genuinely believe that they're probably a good 2 or 3 generations ahead of most advanced countries, most first world countries, to the point of which I would say, a good 50, 60 years technologically more advanced. Some people might say that's far-fetched, but those who know, trust me.
The branch comprises over 5,000 fixed-wing military aircraft and has the largest fighter fleet of over 1,800 aircraft, the largest in the world.
Wow. Guys, I'm not being funny, right? But the Royal Marines has, in and around, on a good day, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 active Marines serving. And that's the whole of the Royal Marines commandos. You guys have more bloody jet fighters than we have actual Marines. Think about that for a second. And we're a formidable fighting force, guys. We have got battle accolades from all over the globe, running from generation after generation, all right? We've done the business all over the place. You guys have more fixed-wing jet fighters than we have military personnel in the Royal Marines. That's food for thought, guys.
It currently operates 4 fighter types, which are the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the F-15 Eagle, the F-22 Raptor, and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. The first 2 fighter types being the 4th and 4+ generation multi-role fighters, and the last 2 being 5th generation stealth fighters. Aircraft classified as 5th generation fighters are usually those that are designed in the early years of the 21st century. They feature various advances over the 4th generation fighters, like stealth capability in all types of operational modes, low probability of intercept radar or LPIR, which means the ability of the aircraft to stay hidden to enemy radar scans.
Really, really important, especially when you're talking about the conflicts that's been especially undergone over the past couple of months in Ukraine, for instance. You want to be able to go out there, seek and destroy without really bringing any attention onto yourself. Now, I know you're going to be bringing attention onto yourself as a result of all of the direct action that you're conducting. But when you're out in the skies doing reconnaissance missions and, you're hunting other people down and you're ready to strike, you don't really want to be out there getting hit yourself, all right? If you can take that away from the whole situation, you're in for a real good ride, literally. So when they're talking about stealth capability and stuff like that, that's what they mean, okay? They mean, we want to be able to get out there, do the business without getting spotted. And in essence, that's what it means. And United States, again, fantastic at doing that. Innovation at its finest comes from the United States. So yeah, US jet fighters, these things cost an awful lot, so I'd imagine they put all of their assets, all of their technology, all of their information and expertise into the design process here.
Even when the aircraft is actively searching for a target or engaged in target tracking. Advanced avionics and highly integrated computer systems capable of integrating with other weapon systems to achieve a higher degree of situational awareness. The F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter are hands down the most technologically advanced aircraft in the US Air Force and maybe in the entire world.
I would have to say in the entire world, and I'm not an aviation expert, but I've got friends who've, served in the Air Force, and they're saying, we've got a great Air Force in the British military, but there's one thing for sure, the United States has some formidable stuff, and that's what we know of, all right? There's things out there that we probably just have not seen, things that are in the design process right now that are absolutely out of this world, quite literally, and again, I keep on saying this, but it really doesn't surprise me that, the United States probably has got technology 20, 30, 50 years more advanced than the most modern advanced kit in the world. So I think what we see is only a sneak preview of what they've truly got.
They have capabilities that far exceed the fourth-generation fighters that are fielded by most of the adversaries of the United States. In this video, we'll take a look at why it's wise not to mess with these fifth-generation fighters and whether there are any aircraft in development that can challenge the superiority of these two behemoths of the skies.
Looking forward to this, guys. Smash the like.
Both these fighters are developed by Lockheed Martin's famous Skunk Works team, the same guys that produced iconic aircraft such as the SR-71 Blackbird, the U-2 spy plane, and the F-11-7 Nighthawk.
Skunk Works is not a name that I'd imagine behind the process of designing these things. That's I don't know. You'd think they'd come up with a better name, but that's pretty cool. It's a little bit rogue, and that's what the Yanks is like. American military is a bit rough and ready, but they've got the money to back them up, and they've got the size, numbers, and capabilities to back them up. So it's United States. You can name it what you want, man. You're gonna get away with it anyway. It's cool with me.
Which was the first ever stealth aircraft in the world. While both aircraft are multi-role fighters, the F-22 was primarily designed as an air superiority fighter, whereas the F-35 was designed to be produced in different variants to serve the various needs of the different branches within the US military and its allies. The F-22 Raptor is comparable to a thoroughbred stallion. Its role is to enter airspace above the battlefield and establish complete air superiority in quick order.
So it dominates the ground. It's a little bit like when I can't say the Royal Marines is there to dominate ground, but the United States Marines are. You want to dominate the ground as quickly and as aggressively as possible. You send in the US Marines. They've got the numbers. They've got the strike capability to get in number and cause utter carnage. Boom, get in. So this is like the United States Marine version of a jet fighter. That's the way I would describe it, okay? Commandos, Royal Marines, more of a sharp tip of the spear. We get in, we do the dirty. You don't know we're there. There's small man teams, disrupt with minimal kit, with minimal people, and minimal time. US Marines, jet fighters, these jet fighters in particular, get on the ground, dominated. You want everyone to know you're there. You want everyone to get the hell out your way. I like it.
It does that mainly using its all-aspect stealth capability and various other technological advancements, allowing it to outclass enemy aircraft. The Raptor's airframe is designed to make the aircraft extremely stealthy, such that its radar cross-section, or the reading on enemy ground radars, would be 0.0001 meters squared, which is the same size as a bumblebee.
That's
insane. It achieves that by clever design, reflecting most of the radar waves in opposite directions to the incoming wave, and revolutionary radar-absorbent coating on its outset surface.
I was just about to say, how on earth did they do that? But hey, if we knew that question, then we'd all be millionaires, right? Or billionaires, rather. But that's just blown my brain away. The size of that, how they can get it down to that minuscule amount is insane. Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. It's beyond impressive.
The Raptor maintains its stealth even while carrying a full payload of bombs and rockets, as it stores all these ammunition in its internal bomb bays, which only open when the rockets are fired.
Internal bomb bay, not the Indian version either.
The fighter comes with an impressive array of avionics and electronics, enhancing the pilot's situational awareness and reducing workload.
Look at that.
At the core of the system is the AN/ALR-94 Electronic Warfare System, or EWS, and the AN/APG-77 Active Electronically Scanned Array, or AESA radar. Both these systems work together to allow the Raptor to go more or less unnoticed by the enemy's radar systems, both on the ground and in the air.
That's scary, man. But thank goodness the United States is on our side. We've got that kind of capability to project around the globe and do, crazy things. without being seen. This is stuff that, 40 years ago, you would just not have believed would have existed, all right? It's so advanced compared to what we were using back then. In the space of like 2 or 3 decades. It's mental.
The AN APG-77 radar has a low observable active aperture electronically scanned array that can track multiple targets under any weather conditions and has an estimated range of 150 miles. One of the main ways aircraft get detected is through their onboard radar systems, as they can scan the skies for targets. The Raptor avoids this by using its 2 systems in tandem. The AN ALR-94 EWS suite can overload enemy sensors by focused radar beams.
Wow.
The AN APG-77 system switches frequencies more than 1,000 times per second to lower interception probability when in active use.
The crazy thing is, this is technology that this video is like a couple of years old. So what was in the public domain, this is off a couple of years ago. We know how fast the United States moves with stuff. What's scary is, how far have they came since this video? They've probably came an awful long way, guys, when we talk about the next-gen stuff. I've been doing a bit of reading of some of the next-gen stuff that's projected to be released in like 10, 15 years. And it's just insane. It's almost alien, all right? We can get, that's getting bordering on the conspiracy stuff now, but, it is almost like out of this world type stuff.
This makes the F-22 Raptor almost invisible. Imagine you're in a situation where the F-22 is targeting you from miles away, and the sensors in your cockpit have no clue of this attack until you actually see a rocket exhaust plume speeding towards you from nowhere.
No, I don't want to imagine that. So, no, I'm not imagining that.
Aware. It's truly frightening for enemy pilots to be in a situation like that.
I like the fact that the guy who's narrating this is English, because he can say something which is really, really bad and horrific, but make it seem almost like, it doesn't really matter. Imagine you're in a cockpit and there's a torpedo coming towards you. If it was in an American accent, it wouldn't hit the same. I think it would hit worse. You'd be scared. The fact that it's in a calm British accent, it's like, it's no biggie. You're in a cockpit. There's a missile after you. Forget about it. It's going to be all right.
But what about visual range dogfighting? Although the F-22 Raptor is designed to get inside enemy airspace, get a fix on a target aircraft, and fire its missile from beyond visual range before the other guy even had a chance to realize, the aircraft is also an extremely maneuverable dogfighter. The airframe and flight control systems of the Raptor are designed to be inherently unstable. Thus, no pilot can fly it without the help of its 3 fly-by-wire computer systems. This makes the aircraft extremely maneuverable, giving it an edge in a dogfighting scenario.
Right, so if I've read and listened to that right, it is heavily reliant on technology to be able to stay afloat, stay in the air, so to speak, stay afloat. I'm a marine guy, sorry, I'm used to boats and things. But isn't that a bit of a worry if those systems fail, then that thing isn't going to be as maneuverable as he say it is? Is that where he's going with that? I'm not too sure, guys. This is the thing with technology, I think, and I'd like to think that the United States is similar. If you're heavily reliant on technology, if that fails, which technology does, you've got to rely on the human element to be able to normally get around that problem. That's why in the Royal Marines, we were very used to using anything that we could use from a human element and not rely on technology to start with, to learn the game, to learn how to soldier effectively with it, was normally better. And it's harder to do it that way, but it's normally better. And I'll tell you why shortly. If you've got a GPS system, GPSs use batteries, okay? What happens when you run out of batteries and you don't know how to map read? Then you're goosed, as we would say in the Northeast. You're knackered. You can't do that. Now, if you're heavily reliant on your compass, for instance, and you understand exactly how to utilize that bit of kit, if you've got a GPS to hand, great. You'll know even better how to get replaced. But if you can rely on the stuff that doesn't need a battery or technology, then normally that's going to serve you well when the technology fails. What's the contingency for this bit of kit then? Little question to you guys. Let me know.
Even its 2 Pratt & Whitney F119 PW100 engines can independently vector their thrust. This capability is known as thrust vectoring, and it allows the F-22
Have you thrust vectored before?
to carry out extreme maneuvers that would be unimaginable for a conventional fighter. The aircraft has a thrust-to-weight ratio of over 1:1, which means the engine can produce more.
What's your thrust-to-weight ratio, guys? How can you even measure that?
Thrust than the total weight of the aircraft. This also allows the Raptor to supercruise, meaning it can fly at supersonic speeds without the use of its afterburners.
Nice.
Thereby, in a sticky situation, it can use its fly-by-wire system to control not only its flight control surfaces, but also its engines to maneuver out of harm's way or simply disengage and speed away.
So, in a nutshell, this is just going to be better than your bit of kit that you're flying. All right? No quezzies. It's just better than you.
All these computerized systems make the F-22 one of the easiest fighter jets to fly.
Wow.
In fact, F-22 pilots often joke that a Cessna 152, which is a typical single-engine propeller-powered airplane used for most beginner pilot training, is harder to fly and control than the Raptor.
Really? Surely not, guys. Surely that... I mean, if fighter pilots are saying it, I have to take their word for it. It's probably one of those things where the technology behind it literally makes it insanely easy to fly. But I've got to be honest, this bit of kit here, I would never have guessed that those would have been easy to fly. Normally, the beginner stuff is purposefully harder to be able to make you proficient, efficient, and good at your job before you move on to the easy stuff, so you don't get complacent. Or at least that's kind of how it was in the Marines. I don't know. Any pilots in the chat?
These advancements are intentional, as one of the major improvements of a fifth-generation fighter is to take the actual flying of the aircraft out of the pilot's hands so that he or she can focus on the battle evolving around them.
I never thought of it that way, and it's kind of obvious when you think about it. Fighter, jet fighter, they really want to be fighting in the air, not flying. I know it's obvious that they're flying, but if you can take away a lot of that worry as a hindrance, then they can just stick to getting the guns down, getting the enemy out the lines, and, cracking on with the mission. So, yeah, it's something really obvious, but I feel that most people will have missed anyway. It's 90% of it. You want to be able to take away the majority of the flying. And if computer technology can do that, it makes these guys really, really effective, efficient killers. It's an interesting point that technology can make them more efficient in that way. So it's not just about making it easy to fly for ease's sake. The military doesn't do that. There has to be a purpose behind it. And the purpose is, right, okay, we need your ass to be able to kill this person's ass. And you can do that more effectively by taking away 90% of the instruments that you've got to use and letting technology take over that. This is where we're coming into the realms of artificial intelligence, I may add. Artificial intelligence is going to be taking over things like this because you'll be able to program flight plans in, and it'll be able to adapt to the situation in the air accordingly. And I guess in the future, we're going to have massive unmanned air jet fighters like these, more capable flying themselves. That's truly a scary thought, almost Terminator situation like, okay? But that's where it's going, guys. Trust me.
Thus not only reducing their cockpit workload, but also making them efficient fighting pilots. Similarly, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter also incorporates a lot of features from the F-22. These two aircraft can carry out a lot of the same missions as well, but the F-35 was ordered into production to fill in the gaps that the F-22 can't fill. The bulk of what makes the F-22 and the F-35 different is cost, ability to produce different variants, and operational capabilities. The F-22 is single-handedly the most expensive fighter jet in the world, coming in at a unit cost of around $150 million.
Jesus. Sorry, what? I genuinely didn't know that's how much these bloody things cost. 150 million US dollars. What's that? Is that like 120 English pounds sterling? I don't know what the rate is, but that's insane. I genuinely didn't know. I was thinking like 10, 15 million or something. I don't know why I had those numbers in. Wow. And they've got like, how many have they got? I don't even know if he said that on this. 5,000 or something? 5,000 US jet fighters?
As per 2009 figures. It's because of this.
Wow. So that you can guarantee that's probably, went up 50% or so by then. This 2009 figures, yeah, at least. So you're probably looking about 200 million a pop. Maybe more.
The US Air Force had to stop the production of the F-22 Raptors, and only 200 jets are operational now.
200, not 5,000. My correction.
In comparison, the unit cost of the F-35As, the model to be used by the Air Force, is almost half that at $79 million.
Bargain, guys, eh?
Thus, it's a no-brainer that
got some money left for a night out and some chips to take away back home.
Over 2,500 F-35s are expected to be produced, with production lines running till the late 2030s. It will eventually become the backbone of not only the US Air Force, but also a lot of other NATO allied air forces as well. Capability-wise, the F-35 is slower and less maneuverable than the F-22, but by no means does that manifest as a disadvantage for the fighter. The aircraft is still equipped with similar avionics and electronics warfare suites as the F-22, providing the pilot with a 360-degree situational awareness.
So cheaper, but still probably is a long way better than most of these jet fighters out there, all right? And when it comes to the United States, I don't see them worrying as much as about the money for what they can get at the end, i.e. a better jet fighter. I don't see them worrying as much as, for instance, England, who, you know, our budget in the UK is pretty damn terrible. It's almost shambolic, to be fair, in comparison. So just because it's, you know, a little bit cheaper or half cheaper, it doesn't mean to say that they're going to get any less effect out of it, all right? I bet it's still really, really good in comparison to most things out there, that's for sure.
However, the role of the F-35 is not just air-to-air combat, but it's also expected to perform ground strike and close air support, or CAS, missions. Thus, the speed disadvantage and the slight lack of maneuverability actually make the F-35 a much more stable platform for such missions. This role difference between the two aircraft has also informed the design of the F-35 weapons bay, which is bigger and less stealthy compared to the F-22. This allows the aircraft to carry much bigger and heavier ground attack bombs. In fact, the F-35 can carry twice the weight of bombs than the F-22.
Right, so yeah, I'm just hearing positives out of this, to be fair. And when we look at, like, you know, you've got this thing on the battle space and the battlefield in the airspace, you've got something that's half the price around, and you know, you're not, obviously you're going to be worried if this thing gets shot out of the air, but, you know, if it's double the price, that's a massive hit. So I think you get more bang for your buck with this. I think it's a bargain, personally, and not that I'm talking from experience of having, you know, $79 million in the bank, but it's good value for money in terms of what you're getting, what it can do on the battleground.
What do you think about the US Air Force's arsenal?
I will answer that question right now. I think it's single-handedly the best on the planet. And not just the best on the planet, I think it's the best on the planet by a long way as well. And that's not just clickbait here. I'm at the end of the video. How many people are going to be watching right now? I'm not too sure. So it's, if I was going to clickbait it, I would have said it at the beginning. We're just being honest here, all right? It's the biggest on the planet. It's the best on the planet as well. Bigger doesn't necessarily mean better, and I don't mean, there's no puns intended with that one, but in terms of America, you know, they've got a lot of nasty kit. And when I say nasty, I mean that in a good way. Stuff that can really do the business when it needs to be done. Yes, that comes at a price, but America's willing to pay that price time and time again to make sure that their troops have the best kit and equipment on the ground. That's one thing I'll say when I served in the Royal Marines Commandos and I ever did training with the United States. It was, no matter where we were, their boys, their girls, their men, their women were kitted out. They had what they needed to get the job done. No questions asked. Not always the case where I was from in the Royal Marines. Now, the Royal Marines was a bit of an exception in terms we are a more elite unit within the British military. So I never really had any problems with not having the best kit and stuff because I felt like we had pretty good kit when we needed it, okay? But there is some regiments in the British Army who, you know, they don't have the best of stuff. And that's all down to a budget problem, which America doesn't have. So, you know, long live America. Thanks for watching. Guys, drop a comment below. And before we go, as promised, I need to mention I am on a quest to start YouTube boxing. I have been in contact with a talent manager. That talent manager, who I'll keep anonymous until I eventually get with this person, and that talent agency has said to me, we will take you on if you have 30, 40, 50, 70,000 views average per video you release. So I've got some work to do, guys. But with that work comes me asking you this. please like the video, please share the content far and wide, drop a comment, and yeah, just stick around, guys, because as soon as I get those numbers again on my channel, I believe that this talent manager will take me on, and you will see me on a YouTube boxing event soon, fighting some of the most well-known YouTubers out there. So I have got a mission. That's my mission, and I will achieve it. But I am realistic. I need your help, guys. So if you can do that, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and all of these places, guys. Share my content. I would be so grateful for that. But regardless, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.